you need truth and life. Here is the Brother Leon Show. You better recognize.
What's going on, good people? This is your boy, Brother Leon, and you are tuning into another episode of the Brother Leon Show. So today, guys, we are going to talk about the friend zone. Because the one thing that I want you guys to understand is this, is that when we are dealing in relationships, a lot of times guys or even girls try to, hook up with guys, and then it's like, okay, they're in a place of limbo per se. And it's called the friend zone. So, guys, we are going to talk to relationship coach and also relationship advisor, Coach Eden Adele. So, guys, hey, I am so looking forward to talking to her, man. She is very mellow, very spiritual. And I love, man, her post on Facebook. I love what she is doing to help our community with our relationships. Because I'm not going to lie, man, we need help. And that's the God knows truth, man. We need all the help that we can get in our relationships so that we can have success, because God wants us to be successful. You want to be successful, and good relationships are healthy. Good relationships are the one thing that we need. We need to see the example of good relationships. So, guys, we are going to talk to Coach Eden Adele. Hold on for 1 second as I pull her up.
Gracious, good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon. How you doing, Coach Adele? How you doing this evening?
Hello, Brother Leon.
Hey.
Nice to talk to you once again.
Yes, it's definitely nice to talk to you. I was telling the listeners, about who you are. I just love the fact that you inspire us. You give us words of wisdom on Facebook, and I just want to, just say thank you for that.
Oh, my gosh. Well, thank you. Thank you for noticing. Yeah. Thank you for sharing me with your audience. That was incredibly generous, particularly since I'm new to your audience. Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. We'll have a fun time talking about the friend zone or whatever you'd like to discuss. Whatever you'd like to discuss. We'll have some good news and hopefully help some folks.
Yeah, well, hey, it's definitely going to be the friend zone. So
okay.
I just want to start off, with everything. Who are you? So tell the listeners, because I know they're new, and people, who are you? Because I'm not going to lie, I met you through Alicia Bennett.
Yes. She and I actually go way back.
Okay.
I met her at a seminar.
Okay.
Over probably about 10 years ago by now.
Wow.
So that was how we connected initially, and we've just stayed connected over Facebook ever since then.
Okay.
We filling up each other's DMs, calling each other at strange hours of day and night, and we just stayed connected since then. I love what she does. I love how she does it, and she's totally devoted.
Yeah.
Like, for real.
Oh, yeah.
She is committed to her mission.
Oh, yes.
And she just keeps coming up with creative ways to do it. I love it. It's so much fun to watch. And it's always great to see good things happen to good people. I love it.
Yes. Oh, yes.
But as for me, I am an author and a speaker and a relationship coach, I guess in broad terms. But my primary audience is people over 40, usually, empty nesters, for the most part, who are open-minded but kind of emotionally worn out, and they are on an intentional quest to actually live the kind of love that they're capable of. Okay. Fully, completely, freely, and that means whether they're already in a couple or not. But these are the people who are actually made a decision to change what's been going on so far.
Okay.
They're not satisfied with it. They know it could be more. They know it could be better. but they're just not quite sure how to make that happen because, like most of us, they haven't seen it happen before, at least not up close and personal, because that's not the environment that they were raised in. So they're sort of making it up as they go along. And because of that, they need new information. They need new outlooks, new perspectives, new input, because the information they already have is the information that got them where they are. Hence, that's where my phone rings. I'm struggling with this, I'm battling with that, and I don't want to keep doing it. Is there a way I can undo this? Or is there a way I can find something different to do that'll actually get me closer to what I want?
Yeah.
And that's really what I'm here for.
Okay.
A different perspective, just a different outlook. It is an advantage for me, particularly when dealing with other people, that I have distance, emotional distance from whoever's involved. I don't have any vested interest in who I expect them to be, how they've been before. I don't have all that baggage. So I refer to myself as a relationship drone. I get the drone angle.
Okay.
Because they're in the forest staring at the tree trunk.
Yeah.
So they can't see the pothole. They can't see the landmine. They can't see all those things, but I can. And so I shine the light on their blind spots and help them come to a conclusion that'll actually work for them, that they can apply. Because application is actually what makes the difference.
Yeah.
It's not the information, it's the application. The information is everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm not reinventing any wheels. I haven't discovered a new planet. I didn't create a new element.
Okay.
But it's the application that makes the difference in anyone's life. So I'm just one perspective.
Okay.
I don't expect to be the only perspective for anybody.
Yeah.
But I am one, and I am a different one, and I tend to see things in ways that people typically don't. At least that's what I've been told.
Wow.
By quite a few men, actually, which I found surprising. I found that surprising. I get a lot of communication from men. In fact, there's a discussion going on now for me to do a virtual event for an all-male audience.
Okay.
Which I am excited about the possibility of doing. But yeah, I didn't expect that, but I'm very, very, very happy about it. And it means it's very significant to me.
Yeah. It definitely
because you all don't typically do that.
Oh yeah.
And I am, and I am well aware that you all don't typically do that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. So if you are being invited into a man's world, oh my God, that's something right there. It means they trust you.
That part.
Yeah.
And as a Black woman, especially, I am fully aware of how unusual that is, particularly in times as contentious as these. And it was a Black man's idea. It wasn't my idea.
Okay.
I mean, I've worked with him and his wife before.
Mm-hmm.
I actually did a private event for them a few years ago. And it was his idea. So, yeah, that carried a lot of weight with me.
Okay.
So I look forward to it. Of course, I speak to women as well. I speak to them all the time because they speak most.
Yeah.
They typically speak first and they speak most, but that's how we're socialized. So it's not really difficult for us to do that.
Yeah.
Men, however, is a different story. So when they talk, I listen a lot more.
Okay.
Because they may not talk anymore. Right? And I have to get everything I can get while they're actually talking.
Okay. So let me ask you this. I know we're going to be talking about the friend zone and everything.
Yes.
And so how is it important? How important is it for women to understand the communication style of men? Because I know a lot of women they expect their men. They may be reading certain books like the 5 love languages. And so,
Mm-hmm.
and so, I like the 5 love languages. And I was discussing this with a friend this week, and I was like, how come you just can't hook up with a person that speaks your love language? And the thing is that the thing that I'm running into a lot is that there are some women that expect men to communicate just the way that they do. And I'm like, nah, he sees it from a totally different perspective. He communicates from a totally different perspective. So my question to you is, how can we begin to, unpack that and try to get women to see that men are not going to think like them, communicate like them, or even have a love language at times that is like them?
I think first, anyway, I always suggest that people, as simplistic as it may sound, pay attention to each other. Too many people enter their relationships with a lot of expectations and ideas that they had before they got into the relationship. And if that relationship doesn't fit those ideas or expectations, they think that there's something wrong. And that something is usually whoever doesn't agree with what your expectations are. That is the major problem. It is the foundational problem that I encounter most often, is the unreasonable expectation thing.
Okay.
And it might not even necessarily be that the expectation is unreasonable, but because it's never openly discussed, there are a lot of assumptions that go on that may not be fulfilled in that relationship. And then whoever is making the assumption takes it personally. They get offended, they get hurt, they get angry. They give up sooner than might be necessary, because a lot of things could be cleared up with just a conversation, if people would be willing to have the conversation. But there are just so many assumptions made. For instance, a lot of people get into relationships initially anyway, and brand new relationships, expecting monogamy off the top.
Yeah.
Or expecting that if somebody approaches you because they want to be with you, that means they don't already have a relationship somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe even a whole marriage.
Yeah.
Or that if they're trying to approach you because they're attracted to you, that means that you might be a potential spouse. Or that their purpose for dating you is because they're looking to be committed or married.
Yeah.
Those are all assumptions that people typically don't discuss until somebody's feelings get hurt.
Exactly.
Or somebody gets angry about something. Or there's some strange phone call that comes in. There's a text that somebody saw that wasn't supposed to be seen. Something like that.
Yeah.
That starts some kind of drama that sets off an argument that didn't need to happen if terms were defined going into the relationship. Terms meaning, what do you want from me? Not what do you want from relationships, not what do you want for your future. What do you want from me?
Yeah. Exactly.
Most people do not have that discussion. They just make a bunch of assumptions that if they're attracted to each other, which is another trap, if they're attracted to each other, then that means that it'll all magically work out. Everything will just fall together. They will figure out how to relate to each other, and they'll be blissfully happy together because there's all this chemistry, and there's this connection, and there's this flaming romance going on, and we can't keep our hands off each other and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And somehow that gets translated into, that must mean that we're supposed to be together, that we're only supposed to be with each other, that we only want to be with each other. That if one of us is even attracted to somebody else, that must mean there's a defect somewhere in our relationship, and on and on and on and on. And these discussions don't get had. Sometimes they don't ever get had. But if they are, it's usually because somebody feels like a boundary's been violated and now they're mad about it, which is not a great place to have a discussion from.
Yeah.
Not if resolution is the goal. If you're just trying to be right, then anger is usually the default setting for that.
Yeah, exactly.
And you get corresponding results. But if you're actually trying to solve a problem, anger is not the place to do that from. Openness is the place to do that from.
Yeah.
Where people can where consenting adults can actually have a conversation honestly about what it is they want. And the truth is, if that happened more often, the divorce rate would be a lot lower. And typically, just societally, culturally, couples would be much happier together, and there wouldn't be like this seething undercurrent of hostility and that stuff going on.
Yeah.
Because that whole gender war thing is a marketing ploy.
Wow.
That's my opinion.
Wow.
That's my opinion.
You know what? You the first person.
It feeds the economy.
You know what? You the first person I ever heard to say gender war.
Really?
Yeah, seriously.
I'm excited.
I've never heard that term. I never heard it explained as a marketing tool.
Yes, that is how I see it.
Okay. So,
I don't often hear people discuss it that way, but that's how I see it. It's profitable.
Okay.
It doesn't really have anything to do with the state of relationships, one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an image that gets promoted and propagated endlessly and relentlessly because the truth is unhappy people spend more money.
Wow. Oh my God.
Single people spend more money than couples.
Mm-hmm.
Unhappy people spend more money because they use money to try to soothe their unhappiness.
Yeah.
So it is, if I am a marketer, it behooves me to make sure that you stay dissatisfied.
Yeah.
Because it feeds my bottom line.
Yeah.
The beauty industry would fall off the edge of the earth if women decided that they liked who they are the way they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the marketing has to feed the idea that they're not and keep them reaching for this unattainable standard of perfection that either they have in their heads or they believe that their significant people have in their heads. But whatever the case is, they're reaching for something else other than what they wake up as every day.
Yeah.
And if I'm selling you makeup, my bottom line depends on you maintaining that opinion.
Okay.
So it's good for my bottom line. The problem is it just bleeds over into how you see yourself and how you interact in a relationship setting.
Yeah, exactly.
In every area of your life. It impacts your parenting, impacts your friend relationships, and it has the greatest impact on your relationship with yourself.
Exactly.
But that's a different discussion. That's not friend zone. I'm not trying to take you all the way out because I could.
I know, but hey, we gonna bring it back. I'm seriously. Yeah, we definitely gonna bring it back. I see right now we're gonna have to have another interview because I definitely, I want you to talk about if we meet again, when we do meet again, definitely talk about the marketing scheme. Because I was just my last question, and we're gonna go right into it. Is what is your opinion on the book, Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man, and the movies?
Again, I think it's great marketing. The idea of rom-coms and movies like that, they're profitable movies.
Yeah.
The idea of romance, particularly as it pertains to couples and marriages, in history.
Mm-hmm.
Marriage used to be primarily a business arrangement that was for specific purposes relative to legacy,
Yeah.
the combining of assets, passing down generational wealth, how to know which children are actually mine so I know who to leave my property, my assets, my holdings to when I die. That was the purpose for marriage.
Yeah.
The purpose of romance was actually saved for affairs. And that stretches all the way back to the whole courtesan era, the geishas in the Far East. Their whole culture built in other women
Wow.
for men to, other than their wives, to get what, not necessarily their needs, but more of their wants, because the wife provided the needs. But they still had wants. And since most people are selfishly motivated, meaning that they don't typically like to say no to themselves if yes is available, if they can find a way to say yes without breaking the law or getting caught or paying too much of a negative consequence, people will typically lean towards saying yes.
Yeah.
And if you are in a position of power and authority and influence, then you get to make those rules. And most people will make those rules to feed their wants. And that's how that whole culture developed. Over here, it looks more like the proliferation of porn. Another problem that people have here trying to make relationships that last is that they get into relationships that appeal to them based on the kind of porn they like to watch.
Yeah.
The people that they're most attracted to are people that look like the porn that they like to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And so if they're pursuing people like that, they also expect the kind of performances that they've been seeing at the end of their point and click.
Yeah.
And they expect that person to behave in the same kinds of ways.
Wow.
And when they find out the hard way that that doesn't happen, then they get angry. And they feel like they've been deceived.
Yeah.
Because they've been fed this idea endlessly.
Yeah.
But they never made the distinction that what they were watching was a fantasy. That just because they could see it on screen and they could point and click their way to it anytime they felt like it, didn't mean that that would translate to real life and real women.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why you see people doing crazy stuff now, like getting married to silicone dolls. But that's a whole different show. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's a whole different show.
Yes.
They
yes.
do have male dolls, by the way.
Oh yeah.
But,
Yeah.
yes, they do. Let's be clear. They are male dolls.
Oh my God. Okay.
Woo!
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
a whole different show for real.
Yes, it is. Yes, yes, it is. So, hey, I'm gonna stop right there. So let's go in here.
Okay.
I'm gonna stop. So let me ask you this: I know you heard that term friend zone. So
Yes.
what is your definition of the friend zone?
That's a term I normally hear from people who had a romantic interest in somebody that wasn't returned. It wasn't reciprocated.
Okay.
That's typically what that means. But they're still in some kind of relationship with them.
Yeah.
Usually with the hope that they can change that.
Yeah.
Which is typically not a good idea. But people continue to do it because it's what they want. And which is another trap of people trying to make relationships that actually work.
Okay.
Because when you see relationships that do work, long term anyway, people that actually are together and enjoy it,
yeah,
not just because they feel like they're serving some kind of sentence, But couples that actually like each other,
Yeah.
the like is mutual.
Okay.
They're not together because he likes me or she likes him. They're together because they like each other. As elementary as that sounds, it is the foundation for why they work.
Okay.
So we have this society that set us up to believe, once again, through marketing, that we can have whatever we want the way we want it. And that should be the foundation for why we want it. We never address the other side of that idea. The other side being, okay, this is what I want and this is how I want it.
Okay.
But no one asks the question, well, what does that person want?
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree.
Because that person has their own list.
Yeah.
And if you aren't that list, then you're not going to get attention from that you're willing to give to them.
Yeah.
Again, upsetting people, making them angry because they feel entitled to the relationship that they want just because they want it, which is what the marketing in this society has taught us. You can have whatever you want. It's like a mantra.
Yeah.
You can have it all at the same time. You can have it whenever you feel like it, as long as you're a consenting adult and you're not breaking any laws. Go for what you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a mantra. But there are, when you involve other people, there has to be some acknowledgement that that other person is a whole person, and they're not just there to be what it is that you believe they're going to be for you.
Yeah.
That they have a whole set of things that they want to be, do, have outside of you that don't have anything to do with you. That will also somehow have to be accommodated inside of any relationship that you have with them. Because none of that stuff is going to disappear just because you don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, exactly.
So it has to be accommodated somehow. And that's where people usually fall off the rails, because they don't want to accommodate those things. Or they get hung up on pursuing whatever it is that they like. I got to have things the way I like them, instead of trying to have things the way that likes them.
Yeah, exactly.
They get hung up on who they like instead of getting hung up on who likes them.
Mm-hmm.
You can only have a lasting, happy relationship with somebody who likes you back.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much you like them. You cannot like them enough to make them like you back.
Wow.
The happiness happens on the like you back part.
Can you say that again?
The happiness happens on the like you back part.
Wow.
It takes more. I'm attracted to them, or then we're attracted to each other. Attraction, chemistry is one of the biggest relationship traps ever built, because it makes people assume that because they're aroused by this person for whatever reason, that means that they should be together, stay together, have a relationship.
Yeah.
And none of those things is true.
Yeah.
None of them. There are people who can make workable, viable relationships that don't have any of that. And there are other people who are in relationships only with that.
Okay.
It's like sex is the only reason they're together.
Wow.
Or the charge or attraction or whatever it is the only part of their relationship that is working.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing else is. Or there are relationships, usually they're work relationships, friend relationships, or whatever, where sex isn't even an option. It's not part of the relationship, but the relationship itself is healthy and viable, and it expands the people involved. They like being in it, and they miss it when it's not there.
Yeah. Yeah.
The happiest relationships find ways to combine the two.
Okay.
But that requires patience and it requires focus. It requires effort. It requires you paying attention to somebody who isn't you.
Yeah.
Which is a big deal for most people, particularly the older they get.
Okay. So why do you
they
say
are
that?
less likely?
Why do you say that?
Because people are habitual.
Okay.
And if they made a lifelong habit of prioritizing themselves, they are less likely at 40 to meet somebody that they are willing to accommodate than they would be at 20.
Okay.
Just because habits are more flexible younger.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say that it can't be done, because it is done.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we have, on one side, the fastest growing divorce demographic in this country is marriages over 20 years.
Wow, for real?
Let's, for example, you got married at 20.
Yeah.
That means you're 40 years old when you get this divorce.
Okay.
Most men, especially men more often than women, get remarried more than once.
Okay.
But men more often than women get remarried.
Mm-hmm.
And they typically bring with them all the habits that they established in their previous marriage. They are less likely at that point to do something different in their next marriage. They'll just do it with someone different.
Okay.
And because they're doing it with someone different, they're able to convince themselves that they're doing something different.
Okay.
It is the unusual situation where somebody will get divorced, be in their 40s, and do what I like to call a post-mortem or a relationship autopsy, if you will.
Yeah.
And unpack the relationship that they've been living in for the last 2 decades. So they can look at some of the habits and some of the things that they did that weren't conducive to staying together.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, most of those things don't have anything to do with their partner, and they have everything to do with them.
Mm-hmm.
That's why therapy is so important.
Okay.
And I recommend it to everybody that I work with. I recommend it, period, across the board, especially for Black people, male or female. Even if all you have is like an annual therapy visit, like you do with your doctor, your dentist, your eye doctor, etc. If you just have a session where you feel like your life is going pretty well and everything's going pretty much the way you like it, but you have somebody look over the landscape of your life and say, you know what, I feel all right now, but what do you see? Am I missing something? Am I blind to something? Because there's no shame in that. We all have blind spots.
Yeah.
And we can all benefit from someone else taking a look over our landscape and saying, yeah, you're approaching this landmine. Go left. You wouldn't have known that on your own.
Exactly.
That's not some kind of deficit in you. We all have blind spots. That's why therapists have therapists. At least the good ones do.
Yeah.
We all have them.
Mm-hmm.
So I always recommend that.
Okay.
Sometimes people get offended. I can't control that. But I still recommend it for exactly that reason, particularly if you're coming off something like a divorce. Because that's a huge deal.
Yeah.
Especially if you've been married for a long time. It's a big deal. And undoubtedly, you acquired some relationship habits that are not going to serve you well if you want to have another relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
So it is your responsibility to find out what those things are and healthy ways to cope with them before you get into another relationship. If you're going to have the best opportunity for that relationship to work.
Yeah.
Because the divorce rate is much higher in subsequent marriages.
Yeah.
And the more you get married, the higher the divorce rate goes.
Exactly.
By the time you get to 3 to 4 marriages, you're up near 80% divorce rates
Wow.
for just that reason. Because people don't change what they're doing, they just change who they're doing it with.
Okay.
So it takes responsibility to change what they're doing. They'll just keep making the same mistakes with different people.
Yeah.
And then blaming other people.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and it's crazy because it's like, you know, you doing the same dance to the same song with a different person.
Yes,
You
that's
know?
exactly it.
And
That is the perfect metaphor.
yeah. So my thing is, okay, if it's the same song, then you are the DJ. Change the song.
How simple is that?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Well, it's
We
not.
complicate it.
Yeah.
We complicate it.
Yeah,
We do.
Yeah.
It's not difficult at all. What we don't like about it is that it requires us to do something different.
Mm-hmm.
It requires us to be someone different. And part of that really isn't our fault. Part of that is just evolutionary biology. The brain doesn't like change.
Yeah.
Doesn't like that. But our brains are not wired to make us happy either.
Mm-hmm.
They're just wired to keep us alive.
Yeah.
And because of that, it perceives change, even positive change, as a threat.
Yeah.
And if you pay attention to that and respond according to that feedback, you'll treat every change as a threat. And that's what makes you resistant to doing it.
Yeah.
But until it becomes habitual, you do it long term. That's where you get the whole representative thing and all the problems that come with representatives.
Yeah. And situationships.
And situationships, you know,
Yeah.
which could all completely be avoided if people were just willing to tell the truth.
Yeah, exactly.
But again, that's not what most people do.
Mm-hmm.
They go into a new relationship trying to be what they hope the other person will like.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the goal.
Yeah, exactly.
Make them like me.
Yes.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
And then when it works, you're mad about it.
Wow.
Sir.
Yeah, you preach
for them to get attached to.
Yeah.
Then when they get attached to it, now you're mad because you're expected to maintain that character.
Yeah.
And that's why when you turn that character off, the other person is wondering what happened.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you mean? Who is this person? I don't even know who you are.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Where did this come from?
Oh my God. Yes. I totally see it. I wrote about this in my second book. I call it Imagination versus Reality.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Yes.
Yes. All the time. It is the rule. There are, again, marketing. The entire industry is built on the idea of being impressive to somebody.
Yes.
Restaurants, travel, leisure, activities, fashion, entertainment, all of that is driven by that idea.
Yeah.
Be impressive.
Yeah.
When it's not being impressive that keeps you together. What keeps you together is being authentic.
Yes.
What keeps you together is being who you are and allowing somebody else to get to know who that is.
Yeah.
Because that's who you're going to keep showing up as.
Exactly.
That's the long term.
Yeah.
But people keep trying to make long-term connections from a short-term frame of mind.
Wow.
And then they get mad when it doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
They pride themselves on their ability to make these connections, but they usually have a whole trail of busted relationships behind them because they couldn't keep them.
Yeah.
And the reason why they couldn't keep them is because they didn't show up in the first place as anybody that they actually wanted to be.
Yeah.
And then they get there and discover that they're with somebody who they really don't want to be with. because they were doing the same thing.
Wow.
They were trying to be whoever they believed they were supposed to be
Mm-hmm.
instead of being who they were.
Yeah, exactly.
Then after both sets of masks come off, they find out that they're totally incompatible.
Yeah.
It's not even that they're bad people necessarily. It's not the drama that you normally see on reality TV. Ain't no tables being flipped, no drinks being thrown, nobody's cheating on anybody else.
Yeah.
You just have incompatible lifestyles.
Yeah.
But you never took the time to find that out before you slammed yourselves into each other and made this so-called relationship.
Yeah. Can I ask
So
you this?
now, you sure can.
If you realize that,
Mm-hmm.
is there any way that you can turn it around or try to make it work? Because I hear people, hey, I'm just gonna pray, I'm gonna believe God, and God's just gonna work it out, and he gonna love me the way that I feel as though he should love me. And I mean, I just hear that whole thing. I'm like, if it ain't working,
Mm-hmm.
it ain't working. You both got to put the work in. If he ain't willing to do it, you can't do it by yourself.
And therein lies the answer to your question.
Okay.
They both have to be willing to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Couples can survive almost anything.
Okay.
If they're willing to do it.
Yeah.
But they have to both be willing to do it.
Yeah.
If one of them is staying in denial just for the sake of preserving the status quo, then you get one of them being a permanent victim.
Yeah.
That sacrifices so much, the relationship martyr. They give and they give and they give and they don't get anything back. And they're usually the one complaining the loudest.
Yeah.
About how sorry the relationship is, blah, blah, blah. And the truth is, unless you are willing to walk away from a relationship that isn't serving you, to be prey for a predator. That's just how it works.
Wow.
Unhealthy relationships don't happen accidentally. There's a lot of effort that goes into them.
Yeah.
People don't just stumble into them and stay into them for 10 or 20 years because they fell down and couldn't get up. That's not what happens. Every interaction, every phone call, every day, every hour that they invest into being together builds the dysfunction. Can the dysfunction be unbuilt? No. However, function can be built. They can always change what they're doing at any time. They just have to be willing to do it.
Yeah.
It's like, are there deal breakers that shouldn't be rebuilt? Of course. But that's not what's driving this ridiculously high divorce rate. That's not what's happening.
Okay.
And believing God hasn't helped either because the divorce rate is as high, if not higher, in church as it is out of church.
Wow.
So clearly there's more to it than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it doesn't really matter what faith you practice. It matters more how you treat each other.
Okay.
And that's not faith specific. As long as a couple is willing to compromise in a way that works for them, meaning it may not be what looks like it makes sense to anybody else. A lot of people aren't willing to do that because they're trying so hard to have a relationship that looks good to outsiders.
Yeah.
Instead of a relationship that actually works on the inside.
Yeah, exactly.
People have to be willing to commit to building a relationship that actually works for them.
Yeah.
Irrespective of how anybody else feels about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Or how they think somebody else is going to feel about it. Which is another huge trap. They have to be willing to walk away.
Wow.
And they throw all these landmines into their own relationships, and then they wonder why it explodes later. It's a ride or die this, Um, divorce is not an option.
Yeah.
You're gonna all of that is a setup for failure,
Okay.
and it puts people in a frame of mind where they don't really have to do anything special or different that they don't want to do in order to keep the relationship together.
Yeah, because they're just gonna
And
stay.
people are habitual.
Yeah. Yeah, you just
So,
gonna stay because you don't want to get divorced, and so
mhm,
I could be verbally abusing you, busting you upside your head. You
mhm,
ain't gonna go nowhere.
mhm, mhm.
You just gonna sit and take it.
Right. And
Yeah.
if I believe that, then what is my motivation to change?
Mm-hmm.
Here's the answer. It's the same motivation to change that anyone else who changes has. It's an internal motivation.
Okay.
People only change when they want to. They don't change because their partner has a problem with what it is that they're doing.
Yeah.
They change when they have a problem with what they're doing. Doesn't really have anything to do with their partner.
Can I ask you something?
Absolutely.
Because here's what I hear. Oh, girl, I'm gonna change them, and I see women. I'm serious, girl. I'm gonna change them. Watch. And I mean, she's throwing all kinds of sex move on this dude, and then she get frustrated, wondering how come he ain't changed. I'm like, girl, I'm sorry, your booty is not gonna change that man.
Listen, I hear the same thing all the time. There ain't enough WAP in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Just saying.
Exactly.
There ain't enough WAP in the world. If you are with someone who isn't really trying to be with you like that, what they're going to do is be with you the way they want to be, and then be everywhere else the way they want to be everywhere else.
Yeah.
Because they're comfortable with that. They don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
So you go into all this extra effort to look through phones and follow folks around and make all this chaos and drama so that it'll just be too miserable for them to do whatever it is they were doing.
Yeah.
They'll just get better at hiding it.
Yeah.
The only time they change it is when they have a problem with it.
Yeah, exactly.
People only change what they're doing when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of changing.
Yes, exactly.
That is all.
Exactly.
That is all. That's it. That's all. It doesn't have anything to do with anybody else. And most people do not have the internal character required to say no to themselves when yes is available for something that they want.
Yes.
Not even something that they need.
Yeah.
Something that they want. That's why we keep hearing, why buy the cow where you can get the milk for free?
Exactly.
That's why we keep hearing that.
Yeah.
It's because folk will take advantage of what they want if they want it.
Yeah.
Here's the rub. If you meet somebody who actually has the character, you'll get a very different response to that question. They buy the cow because they know there's a cost for the cow and they don't want to live their lives as because that's not how they see themselves as a person.
Yeah.
It has to be personal. That's why when people ask the burning question, why do men cheat? I like to say, why do people cheat? But
yeah,
the truth is, it's the same reason that other men don't cheat. And I do mean it's the same reason.
Okay.
And it's because they choose it.
Okay. Well, yeah, but women don't like that
They
answer.
choose it. I have spoken to men personally who have said to me from their own faces that they were happy in their relationships and they were cheating.
Wow.
I have also had other men say to me, my wife is giving me this kind of hell, that kind of hell, another kind of hell. And I am not cheating. I have heard both stories personally.
Yeah.
So for everybody that I've actually spoken to, we can stretch that out over several 100,000 more that I'll never speak to. And it would still be true.
Mm-hmm.
People who cheat or do anything else for that matter, do it because, one, they have the opportunity. Two, it makes sense to them. They can make sense out of it at that time.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. And the reason might not make any sense later, but they can make sense out of it at that time.
Yeah, exactly.
And they don't have a problem with it. That's the third thing. They don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
And you may have noticed that none of those things has anything to do with anybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
It's totally about them.
Okay.
So people jumping through all these hoops trying to get somebody to stay faithful to them is wasted time and energy.
Yes, it is.
Because the truth is, folks who want to cheat will find a way to make it happen.
Yeah, they will.
And folks who don't will also find a way to make sure it doesn't happen.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just all there is to it.
Yeah.
And there's nothing anybody else can do about that.
Yeah.
When I've talked to people who have been married over 20 years and who still enjoy each other, who actually have been faithful, some of them haven't, but they managed to stay together anyway. But some of them have. And they've been faithful to each other. It's not because they didn't have opportunities to cheat. There were plenty of those.
Yeah.
For both of them, if we're going to tell the whole truth. Because that is not gender specific. Let's be clear. A lot of men who do cheat are cheating with married women.
Yeah.
Let's be clear about that.
Yeah, but you know
they're
what?
not just cheating with single women; they're cheating with married women.
Yeah, but you know what? You don't hear that, and a lot of women. Forgive me for what I'm getting ready to say. You know, as soon as all that stuff starts happening, all these niggas ain't shit. I'm like,
Yep.
Why you gotta go there? And it's crazy. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So
absolutely.
So I'm like, wow.
That's marketing.
Yeah. So
they gotta keep feeding the gender war.
Exactly. So man, no
gotta
wonder they
keep
got
feeding
Desperate Housewives. No wonder they got
oh my God. The Real Housewives of anywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, what do all of those shows look like? Do any of them, I mean any of them, have they ever looked like anything that remotely resembled a healthy relationship?
No, they don't.
Because that doesn't sell.
No, it doesn't.
Not because TV programmers have any real interest in promoting healthy relationships, but the truth is healthy relationships are kind of boring to watch.
Yeah.
And people in America especially find boredom offensive.
Yeah. They
don't spend on boredom. They spend on entertainment.
Yeah, ratchetness.
They spend on entertainment. They don't even spend on education like they do on entertainment.
Exactly.
Education is what they need. Entertainment is what they want. People always spend more on what they want. If I can keep you wanting, then I can get more money from you.
Yeah, exactly.
We live in a capitalist country. It is profitable to make sure that we are at each other's throats.
Exactly.
And that is why when the war settles down in one area of society, you'll see it kick up somewhere else.
Exactly.
Because conflict is profitable.
Yeah.
Not compatibility, not connection, not communication. None of that stuff is as profitable as chaos.
Yeah.
chaos is king.
Yeah, chaos is king. So, in other words, if a guy is in the friend zone,
Hmm.
that woman just pretty much did him a favor. If he is actually looking at the relationship from the outside in that she's having with another guy, and he's just seeing, wow, I didn't know she was like that, because she confides
Absolutely.
in him. You know, she's
Hmm.
telling him all the stuff that, you know, this other guy doesn't do, and I mean, it's like, wow. Ooh, I'm so
Hmm.
glad. I'm so glad I ain't in that relationship. Ooh, I just dodged the bullet.
Dodge the bullet. Yep.
So,
But here's the thing. The thing about being in the friend zone is that it can give you, just like you were saying, a bird's eye view of how that person is actually in relationships with people that they are interested in.
yeah.
And you can decide whether or not you want to be part of that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the rub is, here's how you may cut yourself off from a potentially good relationship. It depends on what stage. I don't like to say age because people develop differently, but it depends on what relationship stage they're at,
Yeah.
because people don't stay the same. The relationship choices that make sense when you're 20 don't make sense when you're 40,
Exactly.
typically. But again, people are habitual. So if they've hit a groove at 20 that's actually giving them what they want, they'll keep doing it
Mm-hmm.
and just changing who's doing it. But if they actually want something different, then they'll do something different.
Exactly.
In which case, they'll be looking for something different.
Exactly.
So that when you're in your 20s or 30s, may not be appealing when you're in your 40s or 50s or beyond, because you're actually looking for something different.
Yeah.
You want a different outcome. So the same person that you thought was a nutcase when you were in the friend zone may be a different person later on when they're actually looking for something else.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's where the shift happens that makes people look at their friends differently. So that possibility exists. It's just not very likely. That's why I don't typically suggest it. I don't suggest staying in the friend zone for a relationship that you really want to be a romantic one,
Yeah.
in the hope that that shift will someday happen.
Yeah.
That's what I don't suggest.
Yeah.
If you can't be there as a real friend, then don't be there, because it probably will never progress beyond that.
Okay. Yeah.
So you have to be okay with that.
Yeah. I totally see that, because there are people who they have built their whole life on standby.
Right. And then they get mad when standby never happens.
Yeah.
But you can't be mad about what you volunteered for. It's like you set yourself up for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
By agreeing to stay in a relationship that wasn't giving you what you actually wanted from a relationship.
Yeah. Let me just throw a scenario at you about standby. Like, you have a woman, she's been friends with this guy and she's been watching him go in and out of relationships, and then all of a sudden he decides he wants to get married, you know, to some woman that he just met. And next thing you know, the girl is getting mad, like, and because he invites her to the wedding and all like that. And I mean, she just started catching feelings and getting mad because she felt as though that when he had the breakup that he was going to choose her. But instead of choosing her, he chose somebody else. And now she's upset, talking about, well, I thought, that you liked me, and I thought that we was going to be together and we vibe so well. And it's, it was just crazy.
Well, the operative phrase is, I thought.
Yeah.
We're assuming, we're expecting, we're not having the conversation.
Yes.
And you can't get mad about somebody not meeting expectations that they don't even know you have.
Exactly.
It's not their responsibility to figure out what your expectations are.
Yeah.
It's yours to let them know what your expectations are.
Yes.
And then you have to be adult enough to accept if they don't want to meet your expectations. And not act like they committed some kind of crime against you because it's not what you wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
They didn't commit any crime. They never made any promises to you of anything.
Yeah.
You went in there with all of these ideas and expectations and hopes and dreams and wishes and fantasies, and that's all they ever were. You had a whole relationship with this person, but it was only happening between your ears.
Yeah.
The whole relationship was happening between your ears, meaning you were attaching meanings to your actual relationship that weren't there.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when you found that out, you got mad at them.
Exactly.
Not their problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially if you never said anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, if you said something and then they lied to you, now you have a reason to be upset. However, if you stay there and let them continue to lie to you, then you are no longer a victim. You are a volunteer.
Yeah.
And you can't be mad at them for what you volunteered to do.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's the good news.
Yeah.
People don't see it that way, but that's the good news.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how you get the power back into your own hands.
Yes.
People are so focused on trying to control what other people are doing when the actual power is in controlling what you do.
Yeah, exactly.
The power is in controlling yourself. The power is being willing to disengage at any point, from any relationship that is poisoning your soul.
Yes.
And I do mean any relationship.
Yes.
Exactly. Married or not, children or not, church or not, work or not, friends or not, family or not, any relationship.
Yeah. Exactly.
That is poisonous to your soul.
Yes.
And we all know when that is. We don't need anybody to tell us that.
Yeah.
We act like we do. Well, is it right if, am I wrong of those kinds of things? Are questions we ask when we already know the answer.
Exactly. Exactly.
We already know the answer.
Mm-hmm.
But asking the question keeps us chasing this closure that never happens.
Wow. I'm so glad you said
so
that.
we can stay comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because people do get comfortable with dysfunction. If that's all you know, dysfunction is very comfortable. Even if you don't like it. Because you know what to expect. People don't get into relationships typically anyway based on logical reason. Relationships aren't the one place in our lives where we go to make sense. We do what feels good. Get into relationships with what we believe is going to keep us feeling good.
Yeah.
It's not about logic.
Yeah.
It's not about reason. It's not about what makes sense. And the minute I say something to somebody like, love has to make sense, then I get no, love is unconditional, and love conquers all.
Please.
And love is the most important thing in any relationship. And oh my God, how can you not be in love? How can you love me and not be in a relationship with me? You know that's a different show. Oh, yeah. The point is, lasting happy relationships make sense more than anything else.
Wow.
It's like, do they love each other? Yes. Yes. They absolutely do. That's the fun part.
Mm-hmm.
That's the frosting.
Yeah.
The logic is the cake.
Exactly. Exactly.
And people keep trying to build a whole dessert on frosting.
It ain't going to... Oh, my God. It ain't going to work.
Is this microphone on?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? They keep trying to build a whole dessert on frosting, and then they get mad when it ain't cake. Yeah. They didn't bother to bake the cake.
Exactly. Exactly.
And they keep chewing on this frosting.
Yeah.
I liked it before. Why come? What's good no more?
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Whole, fully formed adults are living their lives and their relationships that way
Yeah.
because they've been conditioned to. Even if I remove the whole marketing angle, even if I remove it, that's what they've been looking at since they were 7 years old. That's what they've been waking up to and going to sleep to since they were 7 years old.
Yeah.
Chaos and crazy and dysfunction and all kinds of ways not to be in healthy relationships.
Yes. Exactly.
And if they grow up to be 20 or 30 and they don't meet somebody, see somebody, have something happen to interrupt the pattern or to introduce a new idea, they will keep doing it. Not because it's getting them what they really want, but because it's what they've been doing.
Yeah.
People do what they do because they've been doing it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Not necessarily because it actually works.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because people are habitual.
Yeah.
Even if that means habitually toxic, habitually chaotic, habitually crazy, habitually whatever it is, it also works in a positive direction. If you are habitually a good communicator, if you are habitually patient and understanding, if you are habitually compassionate and open-minded, then you can have a series of good relationships.
Yeah.
Or you can have one really good relationship, in which case you will have a series of relationships with that same person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because over the course of decades, you are with different people every decade.
Yeah.
Even if it's the same person.
Yeah. Here's my final question. Can a person get to the place where they're like, I don't even know if I have the energy for another relationship?
Sure. I think we all do at some point or other.
Yeah.
We usually don't stay there, but I think we all go there.
Okay.
Now, if you make it your new address, that's a different problem that therapy would probably address quite well.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's also the option that that's where you find your happiness and your contentment and your fulfillment. There are a whole lot of people that don't have a problem being single.
Yeah.
And that's not a problem. Unless it's a problem for them.
Mm-hmm.
So if it is a problem for them, then maybe it is something that can be addressed therapeutically, or it can even be addressed without something as intense as therapy, depending on what the issue actually is.
Mm-hmm.
If they're dealing with something like recovering from, recovering from violent abuse, recovering from prolonged verbal abuse, recovering from something extreme and damaging, then therapy is definitely warranted.
Okay.
But if it's something like incompatible lifestyles, and maybe they just invested a lot of time in that relationship, then just getting a different perspective on how to do relationships can be very helpful.
Okay.
Because most people only know one way to be in a relationship, particularly if it's somebody who's been in a long-term relationship previously and now they're trying it again. They only know the way that they did.
Yeah.
So they may want new information.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They may want to know there are other ways to be in a relationship. Because if you say to somebody, like I was talking about before, who's been married for 20 years and then they get divorced, if you suggest the idea that they get married again, the picture that comes into their mind right away is the marriage that they had before.
Yeah, exactly.
And they tend to see that as what marriage is.
Yeah.
And the truth is, there are innumerable ways to be married.
Wow. Oh, yeah. We
and they're
definitely gotta
as
do another
different
show.
as every couple.
Yeah.
who gets married.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we definitely
I
got to
know
do
that's
another
not the
show.
friend zone either.
It's all right. But you done said enough. You said enough about the friend zone, to avoid the landmines. And I mean, the thing is that you said enough where now it's like, okay, you don't have to look at the friend zone as a curse. It may be a blessing.
It's not. Exactly.
It's a blessing.
Exactly.
And I love, the view that you have given on how to have successful relationships. Go after what likes you. I like that.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes. Yes.
So now,
It is. It's game changing.
yeah.
It is game changing.
Yeah. So now you got to figure out, okay, what likes me? What likes you?
Yeah.
But make sure I like you the right way. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And if you do that examination and you don't like the outcome, then it becomes your responsibility to become the person who would attract whatever it is you actually want.
Yeah.
It's like, what is that person looking for?
Yeah.
Because you know what that is. And if you don't know what that is, then your job is to put yourself into environments with people who have the kind of relationship that you believe you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether it's online, offline, groups, associations, whatever it is, if there's somebody that you can see who's living the kind of relationship that you believe you want, then you need to put yourself in an environment where you're with people like that who are your gender.
Yeah.
So you can find out what it is they're doing.
Yeah.
How they're living their lives.
Yeah.
Find out what it is they're doing, and then you'll attract what they're getting.
Okay.
And you'll be compatible with it.
Yeah.
Because it's not enough to attract it. You attract all kinds of stuff that doesn't have anything to do with what you want.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, nothing to do with what you want.
Exactly.
You attract all kinds of stuff. You don't just attract what you are. You attract whatever's attracted to you.
Exactly.
And from that, you select what you expect.
Yes. Yes.
That's what's actually happening. People don't say it that way, but that's what's actually happening.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. So
I like to use I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
I just like to use this quick example of that. Anyway, of that dynamic. Beyonce is somebody pretty much everybody on earth knows for being beautiful and talented, famous, and all of that. And you could safely assume that there are probably millions of men who find her attractive. Millions of them.
Yeah.
A lot of them are online right now making noise about Jay-Z and how they would be so much better for her if he would just get out the way. Like, she is that chick, right?
Yeah.
She attracted all of that attention.
Yeah.
All of it. Not because she was intentionally trying to, but because all of those men find something about her attractive.
Yeah, exactly.
For whatever reason. But out of all of those men, she chose Jay-Z. Out of all of them.
Yeah.
She chose what she expected.
Yeah.
She chose him.
Yeah.
That didn't stop all those other men from being attracted to her, though.
Yeah, exactly.
They're still attracted to her. You don't just attract what you are. You attract what's attracted to you. And from that, you select what you expect.
Wow. I like that. Listeners, I pray to God you take notes on this. I'm serious. You are like the school teacher. I'm telling you. You are like the school teacher. This is how you do it.
I'm trying. Listen, I've softened my head up on enough brick walls doing this relationship thing.
Yeah.
And I am just I'm trying to redeem my pain. That's all I'm trying. I'm
Okay.
trying to redeem my pain. I'm
Okay.
trying to make sure, as much as possible, that folk don't make the same mistakes I made. At least make different ones. That's
Yeah.
all I ask. I
Yeah.
don't ask for perfection.
Yeah.
I just ask you to make different mistakes.
Yeah.
Make mistakes I haven't talked about. Make mistakes you haven't heard me say anything about.
Yeah.
Don't walk into a landmine that I've already pointed out to you.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's all I'm asking. That is literally all I'm asking.
Wow.
I'm trying because I believe in love.
Yeah.
I believe in it
Yes.
wholeheartedly. We can do it. We just have to change our focus. We have to
Yeah.
pay attention to different things and put our energies in different places. But be clear, there are millions of happy couples right now. Millions of them. And they're not magical.
Yeah.
There are just some things that they do as a habit that a lot of other people won't do at all.
Exactly.
That's the only difference.
Exactly. Exactly.
They don't have extra appendages. You know, they nothing about them is magical. They're not doing anything that anybody else could not do.
Yeah.
What they are doing are things that other people won't do.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
I'm just trying to show up the blind spots. That's all I'm trying to do.
Well, hey, you definitely showing us the blind spots. So Coach, can you tell us about your books and how can people get a hold of you for coaching?
Get back to passion, all one word, .com.
Okay.
Or find me on Facebook. I'm there a fair amount of time posting stuff. My audience is pretty engaged. And I'm sort of fond of memes and stuff to giggle about too. So if you want to have a good time while you're finding out something new, then visit my Facebook page or on Instagram also at Get Back to Passion. And let's enjoy this journey because we can.
Yeah.
We really can.
Yes. Yes. So, hey, I just want to say thank you for coming on. And I just got to give you some applause.
That's so
Seriously,
awesome.
because you have laid it out so simplistically. And I mean, everything that you were saying makes sense. It's, it's one of those things. It's like, okay, it's not like, okay, do this, turn around, throw some salt over your shoulder. No, you're just giving us the real. And I so appreciate that. I'm serious. I so appreciate that.
Thank you, sir.
So
I appreciate you for
hey.
sharing me with your audience. I really do. You didn't have to do it, but you did it anyway. And I appreciate you for it.
So, hey,
thank you.
Hey, no problem. We definitely going to have you on again because, we are in a relationship segment right now. And,
awesome.
And so I think, you know what? I was going to probably stop this in January, but I think I'm going to do it all the way up until Valentine's Day.
Come on with it.
Yeah.
Come on with it.
So, yeah.
You can do this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I'm definitely going to be calling on you, a few other people, because I want to try to exhaust this whole thing with relationships. I definitely want to try to, deal with the myths, the false expectations, and just really show people how it is possible to be happy. It is possible to have love because a lot of people have given up on marriage. A lot of people have given up on love. A lot of people just settle. And like you said, people, they have grown accustomed to dysfunction.
Yes.
And
yes.
And so
absolutely.
And so I think what I'm trying to do is when a bone is broken and it doesn't mend properly, it grows, it doesn't mend properly. Then you have to re-break it and reset it so it can heal properly. And I think a lot of times that's what's happening to them. They've gotten broken and it didn't set the right way. It didn't heal properly. So now a lot of people can't take the breaking and they can't
Mm-hmm.
take it being reset because it's going to be too painful. And I totally get it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I believe
Absolutely.
that these are the conversations, and these are the the topics and things that we need to discuss. So I just want to say thank you, and I'm definitely going to be calling on you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to it. I love doing this. This is what I love to do. I'm just very happy that you're happy. That's always my goal, to be of service to any audience I have the privilege of being in front of. I just hope that I leave a positive impact. That is always my goal, always. No matter where I am or what I'm doing, is to make a positive impact and to encourage people to love each other.
All right. So, hey, Coach, can you give us your website again?
Get back to passion, all one word, .com.
All right. Thank you.
Stop by and get the freebies.
Thank you for that, Coach. You have yourself a blessed one, okay?
And the same to you, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. You have a blessed one. All right.
Thanks.
All right. Bye. Guys, that was Coach Eden Adele. Man, she broke it down. I'm telling you right now, she broke it down about the friend zone. She broke it down about relationships and expectations. So I just want to admonish you to listen to this episode, go over it with a fine tooth comb, take notes, because some of us, we have signed up to be victims. And some of you, the only way that you're going to get off that track, to get off that wheel, is for you to walk away. And that's the God knows truth. And I know some of you don't want to hear it, but the one thing that you have to realize, and I had to realize this, is that there are some times when you are put in the friend zone, it's actually a blessing because you get to observe. And I had that myself. I ain't gonna lie. Oh my God, a lady that I liked. I'm serious. And put me in the friend zone. But I began to look at life and see her life outside and everything. And I mean, we still good friends now. But, definitely did me a favor. Because I'm like, man, if we probably would have hooked up, we probably would have ended up killing each other, or we probably would have ended up, just breaking each other's hearts. And at the end of the day, man, we didn't have too many broken hearts. We got to start healing. And that's the God knows truth. So with that being said, guys, it's time for us to heal. It's time for us to get to the place, because love is possible. Happiness is possible, but you got to work it. And that's the God knows truth. And I don't care if you in the church, outside of church, you got to work it. So with that being said, guys, we're out.
Walk in the truth that makes you free every day. Follow Brother Leon on all social media outlets.